It's the Andy Allen Show. Come with me, let's see what we might find. I'll be talking to people, having some fun, and whatever else comes to mind. I like playing guitar and hanging around with my kids in the summer twilight. I like Firebirds and watching old John McEnroe highlights. It's the Andy Allen Show. Come with me, let's see what we might find. I'll be talking to people, having some fun, and whatever else comes, whatever else comes, whatever else comes to mind.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Andy Allen Show. I'm Andy Allen. Thank you so much for joining us. My goodness, do we have a great show for you today. Good Brother Earl is a Pittsburgh rock band that formed in 1998. Their music has been heard on 102.5 WDVE, 91.3 WYEP, Froggy 104.3, and their song Lonely Heart was featured in a national commercial for the AMC channel. Over the past 25 years, they've released 6 full-length studio albums, 1 live album, and have played hundreds of live shows in Pittsburgh and all over the eastern United States, including performances at the Three Rivers Arts Festival and Lollapalooza. Here's a quick look at who we're talking about.
So I'm driving home from your place where the view can make a memory tonight. Throw your arms around me so to save me from myself before I fight. You've been the sunshine through the rain, and through the rain we'll have some fun until we're right. And I'll cry with you and laugh with you and cry with you until the morning light. And there's nothing to be ashamed of, because there's nothing stronger than a boy in love.
I hope I live long enough to get tired of that song. It is my pleasure to introduce into the studio today the chief songwriter and lead singer of Good Brother Earl, the man we just heard singing, Jeff Schmutz. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Andy. Pleasure to be here.
Where to begin? I think if we could, I just want to start with the Good Brother Earl canon. Love and Freedom, Up Against a Worldwide Illusion, Work in Progress, the self-titled album, Perfect Tragedy, Fiction, and your brand new album, Dog Years. I mean, you guys have been burning the candle. It knocks me out how many tremendous songs are on these albums. Not just good songs. Songs like When I Come Around, Another Rainy Day, Firecracker, Fighting Gravity, Roller Coaster Man, Glass Tiger, Secondhand Heart, Falling Sideways, Hard to Love. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just an incredible catalog that you guys have amassed at this point.
Well, thank you. It's the way our band works is it's it's a good team. And,
Yeah.
it tells a lot about the guys that we've stuck together for that long and have made that many albums. We all get along.
Yeah. Before we talk about the inception of Good Brother Earl and how all this kicked off, I was wondering if you could take us back to when you were a kid, when you were a teenager, and tell us what music meant to you and what music you liked to listen to.
Growing up, both of my parents were big classical music fans.
Oh,
So
wow.
I literally grew up on Beethoven and Mozart and Tchaikovsky. My dad had a record player, and he'd play all the hits, the classical hits, the hits from the 1880s and 1780s, and I loved it. One of my first records was Peter and the Wolf by Tchaikovsky, but it was David Bowie was like the narrator, and it was I love
Oh
that
my
record.
gosh, sounds fantastic.
And I have an older brother who's 3 years older, and I remember the day he took me upstairs to play on his Sony boombox, Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix. And then he played me Led Zeppelin 4, and it was like the top came off of my head. Like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And I haven't listened to classical music since.
Yeah.
I still love classical music. But it's my older brother was like my Sherpa, like he was my shepherd into modern pop rock music.
Yeah.
And then my parents got me a guitar when I was 12 or 13, and I've just loved it ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually my next question. What led to you deciding that you wanted to not just appreciate music and listen to it, but to try to play it and try to make it?
It's those early records that I heard. My brother, again, he liked the Police, and I got into classic rock early. When I was that age, it was hair metal and Bon Jovi and Poison and that kind of stuff, which I
Yeah.
didn't really get into. I gravitated more to the Led Zeppelin and Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix and all those 60s and 70s rockers. And just hearing that, and being a kid, I just wanted to know how do you do that? How do you make that work? So one of the first things I did when I plugged my guitar in was just turn the whole thing up to 10, and
Oh, your first guitar was an electric.
yeah. And I was like, I got to make this thing sound like Jimi Hendrix. And
Yeah.
I plugged a pair of headphones in, and when you plug a pair of headphones into a guitar amp and you turn it up to 10, it sounds like this really distorted fuzz thing that Jimi Hendrix would do. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
was doing that when I was 13. I just had to, you have to figure out how to make it work, and then
Yeah.
you
Are
write
you
something.
self-taught? Did you have
Yeah.
like friends? Okay. Did you have friends show you chords, or how did you learn those first few chords? How did you learn to emulate Hendrix and Clapton?
I just
You got to play something with your left hand.
Well, I'm almost 50, and I'm just starting to get good at guitar. so it was now self-taught. I took piano lessons, and I actually played clarinet in junior high. So I had
Okay.
I had some sort of musical theory in me. But the cool thing about rock is the guitar is not all that difficult to learn. And I'm sure there's a bunch of rock musicians that don't even know what they're playing. They just know where on the fretboard to play it.
Yes.
And I mean, even any good rock song they say is 3 chords and the truth.
Yeah.
So, you only need to know a G, a C, and a D.
Yeah, and
then-
you're off and running.
Yeah. So that's how I started.
Did you learn chord progressions on the piano, and then you could just sort of, oh, I see a G, a C, and a D. I can go pretty far with that. And then did that help you when you started playing guitar, knowing I need to learn those chords, and then I can?
I think the piano, I was able to find, and I'm not a good piano player, but I was able to find out what sort of sounded good.
Yeah.
And then when the guitar came along, I was able to sort of translate that. But as soon as the guitar came along, I just gave the piano up.
Yeah.
Just no thanks.
Easier to take a guitar to the park.
Yes.
I love the clarinet. That's probably my second favorite instrument behind acoustic guitar. It's such a wonderful instrument.
I still have it. I have no chops left anymore. I tried to play it a couple years ago, and it sounded terrible.
I found out a couple years ago that I played sax when I was growing up, and somebody told me when I was like 38, they're like, oh, if you can play sax, you can play clarinet. It's all the same fingerings. And I was like, what? What? No! How am I finding out about this now? So in 1998, Good Brother Earl coalesces, and could you tell us what those first few years in the band were like? Because for those of us who have never been in a rock band, it looks so exciting. It looks just incredibly dramatic and thrilling. And so what were those first few years like for you guys? Were you taking it seriously?
Very seriously, and it's not at all exciting. We were all original. We played no covers. The early years were, when you're in your early 20s, you kind of thumb your nose up to the world, and you're like, we don't need to learn cover songs. They're going to come to see us, of course.
Yeah.
That doesn't work like that. So we were all original, And we would get gigs locally, and we'd also, our bass player is from Warren, Ohio. So we would travel up to Warren, Ohio and have this steady shows in Warren, Ohio. And we took it very seriously. And we just played original music and we worked on our craft, and, we got paid peanuts, but we still loved it.
Yeah.
And that was a great time learning, not only how to play together as a band, but also learning the band's personalities.
Yeah.
I think everyone in a band plays their personalities. So, and you figure out what your strengths are within a band, and you figure out what you need to work on. Like I was always, whenever I play a song, I try to speed it up. I rush it. And
Yeah.
our drummer is always like, you're rushing. So I sat home and played with a metronome until I got to the point where I wasn't rushing. And if you're listening to this, please don't put a metronome to the songs that I'm playing on the show. So I'm sure I'm speeding up. But it's just learning how to gel as a band, and what works and what doesn't work, and what songs you can do and what songs, it's like an alchemy chemistry experiment. Yeah.
Jeff has agreed to play a few songs here in the studio for us today. This first song you're going to play, South 60 Blue, it's from your new album, Dog Years. And first of all, it must feel amazing to have a new record out.
It really does. It took us a while on this one.
Can you tell us a little bit about this song?
Yes, it's called South 60 Blue, and the inspiration was the road we used to take from Warren, Ohio to Pittsburgh after a gig was called South 60, Route 60.
Yeah.
And driving down that road late at night, the lyrics come into your head, and you're driving alone in a truck, and you're wired on coffee trying to get home. We'd get done with the gig around 2, and by the time you're packed up and ready to go, it's 3, and then you're home at 5:30 in the morning.
My gosh. Oh.
So one of the things to keep myself up, you're driving on, and it's a romantic notion of musician driving home late at night in a pickup truck that might not make it.
This is the reality of what it's like to be in a rock band.
Precisely, yeah. So just lines just started popping into my head, and I'd write them down.
Yeah.
And that's where it started from.
Here's Jeff Schmutz with South 60 Blue.
Once upon a time, while following the dotted line that led me to the place I lay my head, I fell into a trap from which there is no coming back alive, or at least a little jaded. From deep inside my mind, this empty place, I find the crowd is gone, all the smoky lights have faded. Through the ringing of my ears, there lies the fears of failure in a 4-letter word. I'm thinking of you. There's no room for two. How about the view out on South 60 Blue? Oh. Your laughter I recall as it swam in alcohol. A smile holds a way to leave me helpless. And it's a tragedy, the things I miss. I wish I could have told you, but that would be too easy. So as I wallow in the past that didn't last, it's funny how the road can get you lonely. Now my only friend is a highway sign that marks the end of longing and a sad appreciation when I'm thinking of you. There's no room for two. How about the view up on South 60 Blue? Through the driving rains and coffee stains, I've discovered that don't have all the answers. Under a sheet of stars, the melancholy cars pass by with no apparent destination. As dawn descends upon this place, the moonlight hides her pretty face. I stumble out of dreamland and into reality. I trip on the formality of life as it presents itself without you. When I'm thinking of you, there's no room for two. How about the view out on South 60 Blue?
Wow, that was fantastic. I think South 60 Blue is a great segue into what I wanted to talk about with you next, and that is that when I listen to your songs, there is an element of sorrow that pervades a lot of them, not all of them, but, and I love that. I love sad songs so much. I think a lot of people love sad songs. It's sort of, it's consoling to hear this artist who's going through feeling exactly what you're feeling, then they put it into a beautiful piece of art and you listen to it and you think, wow, that's how I feel. Then other people, life's hard enough when they listen to music, they want to escape, which is, of course, totally understandable. Let me read a lyric from a great song of yours called Another Rainy Day. Whiskey, raindrops, watch these castles made of sand start falling. Maybe one day I'll just fade away too. Wanting, wishing, all the things my mother told me would come true. And I tell you, it's all right to leave me. That is very poignant. That's very beautiful. Can you tell us, where do you get the courage to plume the depths and articulate those feelings you find and then share those feelings with your audience?
Thank you for that's quite a compliment, but thank you.
You're so welcome.
For me, my process is, it's, especially writing sad songs, is, some of it is personal experience, because you unless you have to write from some sort of personal experience. And then there's always an element of fiction that goes into it, and I over sensationalize things because my life is kind of boring. I will, I'll kind of spice it up a little with there's our album before this album was called Fiction, and there was a lot of that in there, and it was just sort of like a play on what the thought process is in writing a song. But yeah, I mean, and then after you write it and you bring it to the band, and when the band reacts to it as a songwriter, there's nothing more flattering than having the band get into the same vibe that you are.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then even better is when the audience connects to that too. It's, easily the best thing I've ever done, the most flattering.
Yeah.
When you get, everyone on the same wavelength as you and feeling the music like you do. It's amazingly flattering. Yeah.
That's great. You probably know that almost everybody, if they had their druthers, would be able to sing really well. It's just not a gift that gets bestowed upon all of us. What was that like when you were, whenever it was, 12, 14, 18, and you would sing and people would sort of say, you can sing. You have pitch. I feel things when you sing. What was that like to realize that you'd been given that? Or does it not feel like a gift? Is it like a burden?
It is a weight. I was blessed with a good ear too, and I never took any singing lessons. I didn't learn how to breathe right. I still don't breathe well when I sing. It was just a gift for which I'm blessed. And when I really started singing toward the end of high school, it was Pearl Jam and Nirvana. That's when grunge came out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I wanted to
Remember
have
well.
this gravelly voice, and I didn't yet because I don't know.
You felt like you should go in that direction
Right,
because
yeah.
that's what everybody was
That's what was
responding to.
cool.
That's what our generation was responding to.
Exactly, and I had this
Yeah.
little, and I loved Wilson Pickett and Otis Redding and Howlin' Wolf and all these guys with these massive gravelly voices.
Yeah.
And I was
Yep.
like, "Hi, I'm from the North Hills," but I could find the pitch and I could kind of sing. But as the voice is like a muscle too, so the more you work it, the more it gets defined and broken in, so to speak. And then my voice has changed a lot, especially since the band has been around. I listen to our early records and I'm like, this guy sounds like he doesn't know what he's doing, and I didn't. But I'm just lucky that I was born with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about singing? When you go to sing, what's your favorite aspect of it?
When you breathe in from really low and your lungs fill up with air and you just stick like a high note that goes for like a couple of measures, and then there's this massive drum fill behind it and the whole band is like, wah, and you're like, wah, and
Yeah.
when you just crush it, and it's the best.
Sounds amazing. Well, all right. Speaking of singing, Jeff is going to play another song for us. This is a song from their self-titled album. This is called Firefly. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yes, Firefly was written the week after September 11th, 2001. I was, all that summer, I remember I had a very great upbringing in suburban Pittsburgh. My parents loved each other. They took me everywhere with them, and it was nice. And
Yeah.
I'm very lucky to have two such loving parents. And I wanted to write a song about my idyllic childhood. And I remembered chasing fireflies in the backyard. So the title came to me. I was like, it's going to be about fireflies.
Yeah.
And then I had the chord structure. And then,
This was in the summer.
yes,
before-
this was in the summer before 9/11.
You already had the song started.
Yeah, the bones were there, but I could not get any traction with it. Everything I did sounded like hokey. Like, oh, my dad loves me. No, and I got Christmas presents. And then 9/11 happened. And I wrote the song Firefly, literally watching CNN for the week after 9/11 happened, watching the everything, as I'm sure you all did. And the thought came to me, well, I'm Generation X, and my dad was a World War II guy in the Great Depression, and then there was civil rights in Vietnam. And to me, this was like, 9/11 was like our first test as Generation X type people.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, there goes my innocence, because this is our first major tragedy.
Yeah.
So then once I figured out what it was about, it just wrote itself.
Oh my. Wow. Here's Jeff Schmutz singing Firefly.
Turn the TV on today, my innocence had run away and died. Hurricanes and aeroplanes and scary things can make you cry. Generation ecstasy turns suddenly to tragedy overnight. The best thing I remember about being a boy before September was catching fireflies. Better dead than red is what my fourth grade teacher said to us in school. And Now it seems our fate that we will teach our kids to hate the golden rule. And to think just yesterday your daddy was the strongest guy alive. Then one day you realize that darkness hides between the fireflies. On the day only the birds filled the sky. On the day only the birds filled the sky. Someone's hung a picture of 3,000 ghosts on a telephone pole. It makes the heart sit still to think that people kill in the name of God. When my time is through, I think I'll ask him if he knew the reason why. But until the day I die, I'll keep my eyes fixed on the sky, chasing fireflies. And on the day only the birds filled the sky. On the day only the birds filled the sky. On the day only the birds filled the sky. On the day
I'm always blown away by any band that can stay together for a long period of time. You know, people change in some ways over time, and it's just hard to keep a group of people on the same page. How have you guys managed to maintain your synergy?
For sure, yeah. We're very lucky. We had to change drummers a couple of times, but our Dave Throckmorton, our newest drummer, has probably been in the band 15 years, maybe more. So
Yeah.
we all just get along. We have a great working relationship. It's very much a democracy. We're respectful of each other's opinions, especially when we go to mix an album. If someone says they don't like this, then we all kind of listen to it and we're like, it probably shouldn't be in there. Or if someone, we're good at taking criticism and at also working well together creatively. And no one's a jerk, no one has any bad habits.
Yeah.
Everyone,
That helps.
We all just get along, and we all still love it. I mean, as I'm in my late 40s now, and it's amazing to me that we've been together this long, but it's because we still love the music and we all still want to go.
Yeah. That's incredible. Speaking of incredible, I had the pleasure of seeing you guys open for the legendary Pittsburgh band, the Clarks, at Jurgles a couple months ago. And I went because I love your songs, but also I was sort of getting ready for this interview. And after I left that show, I found a notebook and I jotted down some thoughts I had about what I saw. And it's just my opinion. It's just one person in that audience's opinion, but it was my impression. I wanted to read those thoughts to you right now. As Good Brother Earl stepped carefully out onto the dimly lit stage, anticipation suddenly blew across the room like the first strong wind before a summer thunderstorm. The lights came up and revealed 5 approachable, congenial, local working musicians, but their understated demeanors could not conceal the extraordinary blue fire in their hearts. Their veteran eyes shimmered in the bright light of approaching combat. the focus of an assassin somehow coexisting with mellow cordiality. Jeff Schmutz said something short and charming to the crowd, then melody interlaced with electricity, and Good Brother Earl blasted the room with a Category 5 hurricane of sonic energy. That's how I felt seeing you there. It was a tremendous performance. Can you tell us what it's like to be on stage? Because so many of us will never know what that's like. What's it like to step out onto a stage, play music that you created, and then watch it affect people the way it affected me that night?
Thank you. That was
You're welcome.
Extremely flattering. Thank you. It's amazing. And I get more nervous. We played a couple of big shows, and I get more nervous in front of less people than I do in front of more, because usually you're in front of a big PA system, or you're singing through a big PA system, so it sounds you're gonna sound good.
Yeah.
You've already won.
You're talking about when you're playing in front of a big crowd.
Yeah.
Okay.
The PA system, it's like I don't have a fast car, but I would imagine it's like driving a really fast car on an empty road. It's like the thing's gonna scream.
Yeah. I heard a stand-up comedian say recently that they can play a room of 1,000 people, no problem, but they're scared to death to do a toast at a wedding.
Yes. What he said, they said, yes. And there's a great, Steve Martin had a great, someone asked him, do you ever feel, scared to be funny, or the pressure to be funny when you go on stage? And he said, no, because when the people have paid their money, they're there to see a comedy show. When I walk out, I know they're going to laugh because, I'm just going to do my thing.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of the anticipation and fear out of it. And it's the same thing with that Jurgle show. The Clarks are great people. They're very generous, and their fans are amazing. So we know as Good Brother Earl, when we get in front, they're ready. Like they're going to have fun, and all we have to do is start at the same time and end at the same time. And what happens in the middle is just fun.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than when you all just kick it, and you see people go, yeah. They're into you, and I mean it's not totally why we do it, but it's a wonderful thing that happens. When we do it. Yeah.
Some pretty nice icing on the cake.
Oh yeah.
What do you do to get ready for that experience? Is it the sort of thing where if you go out on stage, do you get yourself all pumped up? Do you sort of get into a meditative zone? Is it neither of those? When you've got like the Clarks crowd waiting for you.
There's I don't get nervous, but there's like this anticipation, some anxiety, but like in a good way. If I was bored, like, oh, we're opening for the Clarks again, then I know I was in the wrong spot. But there's all this, kind of this nervous anticipation, and I'll just take some deep breaths but it's more, to me, it's more, I know the rest of the band is just gonna kill it.
Yeah.
What a wonderful feeling, because again, it's this great symbiotic partnership that we have. I know as soon as beat one happens, I'm in, and I gotta be in.
Yeah.
And it's
you ride that wave that they're providing.
Yes, absolutely, and that's probably one of the reasons why we've been together so long, because we just all trust each other musically, and that we're going to make the right decisions and play the right notes and play it with, not look bored or complacent.
Yeah. Might be time to retire at that point.
When that happens, I'll be a farmer. I'll grow peas.
I have seen some performers who are like, they're in the middle of a show, and they're just like, and I don't think they're checking for like when they need to get off stage. I think they're.
Oh, there's some that are work. Don't get me wrong. We have gigs that turn into work, but the good ones are just so, it's effortless. Singing is effortless. I'm never tired after the gig. It's great.
Yeah. One of the songs you played that night was Cain and Abel. That's another song from the Good Brother Earl self-titled album. And you're going to play that song today. Could you tell us about that song?
Sure. I had a friend of a friend was a filmmaker in Boston, and this is the first time I've ever written a song that was requested of me to write. And he said he's making a movie about two brothers in Boston. One turns out to be a criminal and one a politician. I think it's loosely based on the Bulger, Whitey Bulger, who's Johnny Depp did a movie called Black Mass later on, but this was 20 years before they made that movie. So I thought, okay, you have these two opposite brothers. One's a crook and one's a politician. And I thought, Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
So again, I was driving somewhere, and it just something happens to my brain. I concentrate on the road instead of a song, and then that's when the thing pops into your head. So I just wrote this bluegrassy kind of thing. I think "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" had come out, so I wanted to have some sort of old rootsy bluegrassy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I came up with that song, and then I took it to the band, and they just took it into outer space. They electrified it and made it a faster tempo and really made it rock.
It's just slamming.
Yeah, thank you.
Here's Jeff Schmutz with Cain and Abel.
Early morning, rise and shine. Two folks set up for a heart attack. Gonna sit beside the railroad track. One sheep white and the other one black. One seeks fortune, one seeks fame. One for the prize, one for the game. Half in victory, half in shame. Two boys split by common name. Oh, 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 oh. Best of brothers, favorite son, live by the sword, die by the gun. Nothing left to do but run. Johnny Law took your fun. One by day and one by night. One for wrong and one in right. One in darkness, one in light. One for the peace, one for the fight. Sweet heaven knows who will remain. One will lose and one will gain. Run on rapture, run on rain. One called Abel, the other one Cain. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Oh, whoa, oh, oh.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play Mars or Arizona. All right, let's meet our contestant. Hello, sir. What is your name?
Jeff,
Nice to meet you, Jeff. Where are you from?
Pittsburgh.
And what do you do, Jeff?
I'm a musician.
Fantastic. Jeff, I'm going to explain the rules of Mars or Arizona to you. We're going to show you a picture, and you're going to tell us if you think you're looking at a photograph of Mars, the fourth planet from the sun and the last planet before you reach the asteroid belt, or are you looking at Arizona, the beautiful 48th state in our magnificent union? We're going to show you 5 pictures total, and if you answer more than half of them correctly, 3, you will win the following magnificent prizes. Dave, let's show Jeff what he's playing for. Now, little birdie told me that Jeff has a new puppy. So the first prize Jeff will be playing for is a Greenbrier Kennel Club hot dog dog toy. It's got the works, ketchup, mustard, and I'm told it even squeaks.
My dog will love it.
That same little birdie told me that Jeff also has a beautiful bride at home, which is no surprise given how debonair and talented this young man is. So Jeff will be playing for an entire case of Wrigley's Big Red Chewing Gum. Got to keep that breath fresh for those special moments in life, Jeff. And the final prize. Well, let me say this before we reveal the final prize. Men of a certain age know that there's only one scent that surpasses that of a new car or funnel cakes at a county fair in July. That is the scent of cap gun smoke. So Jeff will be playing for a Just Pretendin' 8-shot cap gun with 9 rounds included, 72 shots total. So, Jeff, the next time you and the missus are expecting company in 30 minutes and you get a text saying, we'll be there in 5 minutes, and you're like, the house isn't ready. Oh, my gosh, the house doesn't smell the way I want it to. You break out, you're just pretending. You fire off a couple rounds, and your house is smelling like a Holiday Inn Express in no time. Now, Jeff, are you ready to play Mars or Arizona?
I am, yes.
All right, Dave, let's see the first picture, please. Okay, we see soil, red soil. Rocks. Pretty nebulous. Very few clues. Those are the characteristics of both places. The only question left is Mars or Arizona, Jeff?
Mars.
Dave, he's going to go with Mars. Is it Mars? Oh, it was Arizona. It was Arizona.
I'm from Pittsburgh. I don't...
Wow, we're off to a slow start. Dave, second picture, please. Okay, we see some stones. We see the red dirt again. We see a mountain in the background. We don't know how far away that mountain is, so there's no telling how tall it is. Mars or Arizona, Jeff?
That's definitely Mars.
He's going to go Mars. Are you locked in on that?
I'm locked in on that.
Dave, he's going to go Mars. Is it Mars? It is Mars! Jeff is on the board with 1. All right, 2 more to go to get those grand prizes. Now, I don't want you to be intimidated by those prizes. You know, those we obviously spared no expense.
I always wanted a Cap Gun.
You're going to possibly get one. Just stay relaxed. Stay focused, but relaxed. You know how sometimes things are so hot, they're cold, so cold, they're hot.
Yeah.
Stay focused, but relaxed. Third picture, Dave, please. Again, not too many clues. We see some soil, some rocks. Mars or Arizona?
Arizona?
He's going to go with Arizona, Dave. Is it Arizona? It is. It is. Jeff is at 2 now, within striking distance.
Come on, Cap Gun.
Dave, let's see that fourth picture. I see rocks. I see red dirt. Again, it's anybody's guess.
See what looks to be a spacecraft. So
Mars or Arizona, Jeff?
Mars.
He's going to go Mars, Dave. Is it Mars? It is Mars! Jeff, you are going home with the Cap Gun. You're going home with the gum. You're going home with the hot dog toy. Thank you so much for playing today. Great to meet you, sir.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Back to the show, folks. Where can people find everything Good Brother Earl? Where can we buy CDs? Here's the new album, Dog Years. T-shirts. Check out this handsome number.
That is fine Egyptian cotton right there.
Songs, upcoming shows, things like that.
Yeah, we're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Our website is a little old, so sorry. But most of the information is going to be on Facebook /Good Brother Earl or Instagram @Good Brother Earl. Music is available for streaming on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, all the musics. And CDs, we made a small number of CDs, but they're available at our live shows, as are our T-shirts we have at live shows as well.
Well, thank you for joining us, Jeff.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing your talent with us. I think that Good Brother Earl is a local treasure, and I think that Pittsburgh is lucky to be able to claim you guys. Thanks for joining us. Before I sign off, I just want to share this literary passage with you that I love from Ralph Waldo Emerson. The finest qualities of our nature, like the bloom on fruits, can be preserved only by the most delicate handling. Yet we do not treat ourselves nor one another thus tenderly. Let's treat each other tenderly. Let's treat ourselves tenderly. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Andy Allen. Till next time.